A recent CDC study is shedding new light on the pandemic's impact on mental health.
Warning on the mental health crisis.
Over 40% of American adults suffer from depression during the pandemic, and now people who seek therapy for mental health are in danger of losing access to care at a critical time.
Well, an initial session is just very respectful, and I know that the client is the expert on themselves and their life, so I don't want to make any assumptions. The first session is just about gathering information and giving the client a chance to express what they need to express and formulate things in their own words, with their own voice, as much as possible.
There are a couple ways. When someone comes to the counseling center here, for instance, part of the intake is they take it's called the CCAPS. It's like a test that gives us some objective measures. So we have that, and then based on that helps, especially maybe with some big things like suicidality or homicidality or something that we have to work really quickly to address. Probably though the most important is you create a space where a person can let you know what they're feeling and what's going on. So a big part of assessment is just making sure you create a space where they can speak. And then just asking questions that are sort of, I would say, it's a fancy shrink term, but are co-constructed. So these are questions that are sort of based on what they bring to you. And so you and the person sort of come up with the questions that sort of move them closer to what it is that brings them in to see.
We're all much harder on ourselves than we are on everybody else, and we tend to demand more from ourselves than we do from everybody else. And we think that that's helpful, but it isn't. And often it causes, if I'm telling myself I'm not good enough, I need to do more, if I'm yelling at myself or whatever, I screwed up yesterday, I think that I'm doing that in order to keep from screwing up anything tomorrow. But in fact, it's more likely to make me not even want to get out of bed.
The most basic and the most important is you have to create a space that someone feels safe. We call that a holding space. So it is a space of safety where anything that someone has on their mind that they can feel safe to share. And that's sort of the base for whatever else happens next.
It's really not as scary as you think it is. That we're not here to be judgmental in any way. We're not here to tell you what you're doing wrong or screwing up. We're here to be cheerleaders for you and to be on your side and to, most importantly, to care that you're suffering, and that's real, and to not judge you in whatever it is that's happening in your life. And most importantly, we hope that that teaches you to do those two things for yourself.
The reason why there are lots of things, alternative or otherwise, is because no one person is completely like another. So there are going to be a chunk of folks who are going to be helped with certain things, and there are going to be a chunk of folks who are helped with others. So if it is possible, like for instance, with the use of ketamine and PTSD, I think that's where I last saw some stuff. That could be, if that's helpful, that's wonderful. It would work quickly. Folks would have, I don't think it's going to replace what I necessarily do, because that helps a big chunk of people. But cool.
I am the director of Second Story, and what Second Story is, it's a college and young adult ministry as part of a branch of First Baptist Church of Columbus, but we're also a registered student organization with CSU. My past experience with therapy, you know, as a kid, my family went to therapy a few times. Didn't really get it at that point, but was involved. And then later in life, transitioning from the military, having trouble sleeping sometimes, things like that kind of led me to be more open to therapeutic practices. So I've met with therapists before, I've talked to counselors before. Working in the pastoral care realm, we're definitely aware of different counseling and therapy services as well. So I've dabbled, right? I've also used coaches. I've also used not self-therapy tactics, but listening to experts online about therapy and what the process is. So I've dabbled a bit. You know, naturally combat deployments, you see a lot, you experience a lot, and that can be impactful. But really more for me was transitioning from a career where it's high adrenaline, high octane all the time, and then getting out and trying to slow down was really hard to adjust. You know, on deployment, you could hear gunfire or just noises that are associated with the combat deployment and sleep right through it. And then you come home and you hear like a cat jump on a trash can and you're wide awake, right? So for me, working with a therapist in understanding how I can better prepare myself for sleep, get good, deep quality rest was really important. I think there's a huge connection in relationship between my faith and mental health in general. First of all, in my belief, right, God is our creator. So just like if there was something wrong with my truck, I'm gonna go to the manufacturer and ask for help. So it's amazing how much peace and contentment I can find when I'm struggling with something and I seek God in prayer, or I sit down with other Christians in fellowship and have conversations. And I think that fellowship, that community is a really important piece. A lot of times around the kind of anxiety or depression or just mental health conversation in general, we hear two things: isolation and loneliness, right? Well, when I hear about, or we talk about faith and the Christian faith, two of the biggest things we hear about are community and fellowship. So if we're able to offer community and fellowship, that's a one-to-one connection between isolation and loneliness. So in my darkest times, in my most stressful times, in times of anxiety or angst or whatever mental health struggle I may be going through, it's been that community that I've leaned on, and being in fellowship with others has helped pull me out of some of those dark places. And that's not to say therapy can't still be beneficial, but I think like many parts of our lives, a wholeness approach is important. And therapy without fellowship is only going to get you so far. And fellowship without a professional to be able to talk to as well is only going to get you so far. So it's finding that optimum balance for you as an individual.
I think exercise is huge. And not only, I mean, everybody thinks exercise is about losing 10 pounds or whatever. To me, it's more about stress relief. And I will tell people, you don't have to go to the gym for an hour. Just get outside and walk.
I am the fitness coordinator at the Cedar Recreation Center. I would say probably when I was a little bit younger, like in my 20s, during times when I may have been off of my path or my trajectory of my life, and I've needed a little bit more guidance, a little bit more of some structure, someone that wasn't in my friend group or my family to kind of guide me and direct me through those issues or those troubles in my life. And I'm a big advocate for therapy and for counseling. I think it's really helpful. It certainly helped me during those times. Now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit more seasoned in my life, and I feel like my life is on the trajectory that I was meant to be on, I find that I've found ways to cope or to handle stress or anxiety in my life, and one of those is through exercise. There is certainly a scientific component of it, especially through your hormones. During exercise, hormones are released. Those are your endorphins, those are your feel-good hormones. And so sometimes you may feel those hormones when you are around people that you really enjoy, or you're doing activities that you enjoy doing. You'll feel those hormones as well. And those are, like I said, your feel-good hormones. They give you kind of a liveliness. They are able to kind of brighten your mood and give you that feel-good feeling that you always get after exercise, or when you are spending time with people that you love or doing activities that you love doing. So definitely there's a hormone component there, as well as just the increased heart rate and cardiovascular stress on the body. That's going to improve your mood as well. So you've got your blood pumping, you're sweating, you're exercising, you're moving your body, and that just always creates a mood booster for you. You never regret a workout that you do. You might drag your feet a little bit to start, to get moving, but once the workout's over, you never regret that workout. It's hard to remember that during the times when we feel maybe the lowest, or whenever we're struggling the most. It's hard to remember when we do feel good, right? Because we're kind of in a moment where we can't find the good in anything. And so I think that's where those habits and that discipline come into play, and you can tap into those, and that kind of pulls you through during those times when you really might not feel connected to exercise, or you may not feel in that moment like, oh gosh, I really don't want to go for that walk, or oh, I really don't want to take that group fitness class. But discipline will definitely carry you through in those moments. I'm very fortunate that I am in an environment every day that I can be somewhat active, and I know that that's not the case for everyone, so I know I'm very blessed with my role that I'm in. But I know that when I am active and when I am exercising, I'm a better employee. I'm a better teammate to the staff that I work with here at the Student Rec Center. I'm a better mother, I'm a better wife, I'm a better friend when I am exercising and when I am moving my body versus when I'm not.
I guess it depends on what you mean by alternate. Anything can have a placebo effect, including breadcrumbs. And if, I don't believe in crystal healing, for example, but if the person who is putting crystals on your forehead is somebody who cares about you and wants you to feel better and is not judging you and is somebody that you trust, that relationship might be enough to make you feel better. And I don't think it's the crystals, I think it's the relationship. So would prefer that you go to counseling, or at least go to counseling also, because there is a lot of research on the fact that counseling does help more than placebos. There's a lot of data behind that. But anything that you do for yourself that is positive and not hurtful and allows you to give yourself love and compassion, I'm gonna be for whatever that looks like.